Hey guys, Austin Crider here, and today we're going to talk about how much a quarter midget costs.
We're going to talk about how much a quarter midget cost, or how much does quarter midget cars cost to start getting into racing. So for right now, we're going to go over to this blue and white car here, and we're going to talk about the cost of a used car versus a new car. Usually a used car can be about $2,500 to $3,500 for a competitive car. You can also get a car for $1,000, $1,500, but they're usually older models that aren't competitive, that need all kinds of updates. The other thing you can do is you can buy a roller that doesn't come with the motor or doesn't have shocks or tires, and usually those are $1,500 to $1,800, and that will get you started. But for a full-blown car, complete like this blue one, that's about a $3,500 to $4,000 car. Same with this white one, complete, ready to go, about $3,500. So let's talk about this blue car for a minute. This blue car is a slightly older model. It's a G9, which means that this frame came out in 2009. So the car is about 10 years old. And we bought this car for $2,000, and it didn't have the motor, and I believe it did not have the shocks. So you can spend $1,000 on shocks, you can spend $1,000 on a motor, so you can do the math right there. So then you're up to, $3,500. This car too is every bit as competitive as the later models. It just doesn't have the updates. It doesn't have the double shock in the back that can be added. But besides that, it's a very competitive car. Now we're gonna go over here to the white car. This white car, we paid $3,500 to $4,000, and it was all ready to go. Set up for the track, proven at the track, raced by a driver that has won all over the place. And as you can see, the car's not beat up. It's in really nice shape. This is a G17, so that means it was the frame was built in 2017, and it's the most current model. And when you look at the car, you can see that it's a pretty clean car. It's got a setup on it, and it's already set for our local track. Next, we're going to talk about brand new cars. Brand new cars start at $4,100. For the $4,100, you pretty much get the chassis, the body panels, all the Nerf bars, the radius rods, the front and rear axles. What you don't get is you don't get any wheels and tires, you don't get shocks, you don't get the Micron, but you do get the steering wheel, and it's always body in white with a black or blue frame, and then you can start adding from there. So adding up from the $4,100, you have $1,000 in a motor, $1,000 in shocks, $500 in a Micron, and then you start building the car from there. The good news is you can buy every piece as store-bought, so you don't have to fabricate anything. It's just a matter of switching out parts. When you do a brand new car, everything's brand new. You don't have to worry about anything breaking. You don't have to worry about anything being stressed or fatigued. And you can paint it any color you want. It has no damage on it. And the car's ready to go. But then you will have to set the whole car up for the track you choose to go to. And again, this is a very competitive car. You can see all the wind stickers there. Now we're going to take a second to talk about this blue car. Again, this blue car was a brand new car. It's a G17 model. It has all the bells and whistles and all the goodies. Again, the base car starts at about $4,100, and then you add on parts to it on top of that. Honestly, people don't like to hear it, but you could have $8,000 into one of these cars by the time you're said and done with all the best features. Ceramic bearings, the high profile rims, the custom exhaust, shocks and springs, the Micron. This car runs in the upper classes, so it has a faster motor in it. When you get into the upper classes, the motors cost more money. But when you spend $8,100, you are not chasing somebody else's problems with a used car. So if you want to be competitive right out of the gate, a new car is the way to go if you can afford it. But there's still other ways to go racing that are still very affordable. When you're buying a used car, look it over real good, because every penny that you save, you could end up spending in parts with things that are damaged on the car. Like there's a front bumper after race season, it's all beat up. You have a Nerf bar on the side here that has a bunch of dents that has been pounded out. And again, bumpers are pretty common. Here you got some scrapes and scratches. And then again, the bumpers are pretty common. They get beaten pretty fast and it can add up. Body panels too, you can see right here. We have a little bit of damage on the body panel. This body panel's damaged. All this stuff can add up. We have a missing body panel in the back here. And again, the rear bumpers, you know, this one's pretty good, but they get beat in. Sometimes you get damage on the side of the car. And you can see right here, we're coming up on a car that this back panel's been hit here. The tail cone has been hit and it's cracked. So when buying a used race car, remember, they are used, they've been raced, so they will have damage on them. If you start adding up that damage, sometimes you'll figure out it might be better to go with a brand new car. Some of these parts can get expensive too. The bumpers can be $100. The tail cones are $100. You know, bent rims and tires. You know, rims are $40 to $50. Tires are $40 to $50. So when buying a used car, you can add up a lot in parts and be almost at the price of a new car. The other thing to take into account, if you buy an unknown car, that could be one that was in multiple wrecks, rollovers, hit the wall hard, the frame could be bent, the axle could be bent, the motor could be old and worn out, and so you really got to take into account everything before making a decision. The best thing to do is to try and find somebody at your track that knows all the cars and which ones are competitive, which ones are old. You got to really find a buddy that can help you out when buying used cars, because there's a lot of stuff on the market that people are trying to get rid of so they can buy their new car. On the other side of the coin, there's many really awesome cars out there that are well taken care of, haven't been in wrecks, that are beautiful cars. The shelf life of one of these cars is pretty long, a good 10 years before they start getting out of date. And the average age of the kids that race these cars are in the neighborhood of 7 to 16. So the thing is, if your son or daughter has gotten into this at 10 years old, the car's usually 15 years, or when they get to be 15, the car's 5 years old and they're already outgrowing it. Some of these cars only are 3 years old before people are selling them, because the kids may outgrow them. So sometimes you can find a car that's only a couple of years old that a kid has outgrown the car, or he lost interest, and the family is just looking to recoup their money. Usually when you buy brand new stuff, you get half the money back. So if you had $8,100 into one of these cars, you're getting about $4,000 back.
I hope we answered all your questions on how much a quarter midget costs. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more content like this.